Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. I am here today to talk about my monthly goals. I use the Cultivate What Matters Power Sheets Goal Planner, that's kind of a mouthful, every single month to set and achieve my personal goals. If you are new here, I do one of these videos every single month where I sit down and bring you along for my personal goal journey. So we're gonna go through all the action steps that I set for the month of September, which ones I did, which ones I haven't done, which are the ones I'm still planning to do as of the time I'm filming this video. And then I will go through all of my action steps that I have set for the month of October. If you have not yet caught my Q4 goals video, where I talk about my quarterly focuses for the last quarter of the year, I highly recommend checking out that video first, because that will really make more sense when we get to all of the October action steps. But let's start by talking about September. September was a little bit all over the place. There's some goals I feel like went really well, some weeks went really well, and then there were some goals in some weeks that didn't go so well. But that is how it always works out. And I know you've heard me say this before, but your progress is not going to be linear. You are not necessarily going to make the same amount of progress on your goals every day, every week, even every month. The entire year is made up of all these different days, weeks, and months, and all these different amounts of progress that add up to your overall progress for the year. So even if you're kind of like me and your September was a little bit all over the place, it doesn't mean that you have completely failed at your 2022 goals. You still have 3 months left of the year, and you can make more progress on some of those goals in the last couple of months and still feel really proud about how you finish up the year. So let's start with the monthly action items. So the first one here is my business revenue goal. As of the time I'm filming this video, which is September 21st, I have not hit that number, but a couple of payments always come in towards the end of the month. So I am expecting to hit that number by the end of the month. And then the next monthly action item is my quarterly plan, which is my quarterly business action goal breakdown plan. I have been using the HB90 project management goal setting system for my business goals. And again, if you watch that quarterly goals video, I talked a lot about how much that system has really helped me with my business goals, and also how I am taking all of my business goals out of my power sheets. So after that last update, well, that's not true because there is one in the daily section. Then we will be done with business goals on my power sheets. The next two monthly action items were related to my birthday. So that was to mail September and prep October. I've not been able to do that. Like I said, September, I've been a little bit all over the place. We have had a weekend, a full weekend planned. Either we were out of town or someone was in town the last 3 weekends. So I am planning to get to that this weekend. I mean, I've done some of the September ones, obviously, because we're on the 21st and we've had a lot of birthdays thus far. September is a busy month for me in terms of birthdays. So I've got one more September birthday to mail out, and then I have to get October prepped this weekend. The last monthly action item was to make progress on my honeymoon scrapbook. Well, I say make progress. I didn't actually write anything, right? I clearly didn't specify whether I wanted to make progress on it or whether I wanted to finish it. And I did a little bit, a little tiny smidge. I shaded in a little bit there, but I definitely didn't finish it. That one is getting carried over to Q4 and to October. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to October. Moving into my weekly action item. So the first weekly action item here, laughing at all of the dots, is steps. So if you have been around, I talk a lot about how I think steps as a weekly goal is an incredibly beneficial way for you to track your steps, because you're gonna have different days, right? Going back to the progress being different every day, you're going to have days that you don't get as many steps. So when you set a daily step goal, let's say you set a daily step goal of 7,000 steps. By the way, I said this before, I think 10,000 steps is a ton of steps unless you walk a lot for your day job. 10,000 is a lot. So you set a goal of 7,000 steps. Now let's say you hit that goal 4 out of 7 days. You might look at that and say, well, I failed 3 out of 7, right? You're like, I did it 4 days, but I didn't do it 3 of the 7, and I feel really unsuccessful about the week. Now let's say you set a weekly step goal of 50,000 steps, which, by the way, is about the same as 7,000 steps a day. It's a little, slightly more, but it's about the same. So maybe on those days that you hit your 7,000, right, those 4 days, maybe some of those days you got 10,000, or maybe even a little bit more. Last week when I was traveling, I got 13,000 steps in one day, basically without even trying, because airports are massive. And so over the course of the week, when you add those 7 days together, you hit 50,000 for the week, which is 7,000 on average. But then you get to check that off. You get to say, I hit my weekly step goal. Now, I'm saying that and explaining it to you, I didn't hit any of my step goals this month. I hit them all last month. I felt really good about August, so I upped it by way too much in September. I was like, well, I hit them all in August, so clearly it's working. And so I'm gonna go, I went from literally 50,000 was my example, and I went to 60,000 for September, and I hit it 0 of the 3 weeks so far, and I'm probably not gonna hit it this week either. So that is my reminder to you to not raise your goal all that much. And when I thought about it, like jumping from 50,000 to 60,000 was almost 1,500 steps a day of increase. And that's a lot. And so I didn't hit it. Now, I don't know exactly what my numbers are, and if some of these weeks I got somewhere in between 50 and 60, or I think one of these weeks I actually still fell short of 50. I'm sorry, if you can hear the construction going on in my building, I don't know what it is. I don't know when it's gonna be over, but it's time to film, so we're gonna keep going. But I think what could have happened that week is I got to the point where there was no way, unless I spent my whole weekend walking, that I was going to hit 60,000, so I just gave up. Whereas if I had maybe set my goal something a little bit lower, like maybe, I like in my head, I'm thinking an extra 500 steps a day, so maybe like 53 or 54,000, it would have been a lot more feasible, and I probably would have continued to push myself that week. So all the reminders here, weekly step goals are great, don't jump them up too much. That's why I didn't achieve any in September. My next weekly action item was to work out. And instead of doing workout 4 times a week on one line, I've explained this before, but putting each one on its own individual line really helps motivate me. For example, you see in that first week, I worked out twice, so I got 2 check marks and I didn't get the other 2. Had I written workout 4 times, I wouldn't have gotten any credit. The second week, I crushed it, right? I did all of them. And then the third week, I fell apart. I'm clearly really good at getting that first workout and then kind of fell apart getting the rest of them. I still feel good about this goal. If you watched prior months, I did 3 in August and was pretty consistent with those, so I upped it to 4. I really don't think having 3 versus 4 on this month would have changed anything about my motivation, except I did get that last check mark on week 2, but I feel good still about the progress that I've made. Definitely carrying both of these weekly action items over into October. Moving on to daily action items. Here is the last business related goal that you will see in my power sheets, and that was to do the Pomodoro technique. This has been working for me. Y'all, I know it's been talked about for probably decades at this point. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a time management tool where you set a timer, you work for 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. You work for 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. And that is how I've been operating on my work days. I've been following a timer. When it tells me to work, I work. When it tells me to take a break, I take a break. And then I've been tallying in my daily planner how many I get done throughout the day, and it just, I love it. It makes me feel so good. So if you are struggling with some sort of time management, I know this works really well for students. I have a lot of Patreon community members who are students who are studying for something, and they have utilized this tool as well. So I wanted to put it in my power sheets to encourage me to do it every work day. I mean, you can see I missed some days here, but a lot of those days were weekends. I wasn't trying to do it on the weekends anyway. I'm not carrying it over just because I'm taking business goals out, but I don't think I need it in my power sheets anymore for it to be a habit. The next daily action item was to not hit, or at least not override, my Instagram limit on my phone. And I only hit this or went over it 3 days so far this month. 3 out of 20. That feels so good. I am so proud of that. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking I should probably lower it a little bit. I'm trying to figure out what is that sweet spot. I've said this before. Sometimes with goals, you know what you're working towards, right? Like, you know, oh, I'm working backwards. I'm waking up 5 minutes earlier every day because my ultimate goal is to get up at 6 every day. I don't know what I'm working towards with my social media, like my Instagram limit. I am just working backwards until the number I get to feels good. If I get to a number where I feel like I'm overriding it every single day and I'm like, I feel like I'm not just scrolling just to scroll, then I'm gonna up it a little bit, and that's probably gonna be my sweet spot. The next 2 daily action items were my AM routine and my PM routine. My AM routine clearly went way better than my PM routine, story of my life. But I'm glad I put these in my planner. I do think they really helped keep me accountable to all the travel we were doing when we got back, to getting right back into it, and to really working on that mindset of just doing part of my routine is still more beneficial than doing none of it. The next daily action item was to read before bed. And according to the dots, I only did this 9 out of the 20 days. But I know that it has helped me a lot. I know that it has helped with my sleep. A lot of the dots I didn't do were weekend days or days we were out of town, which that is not the time that I really care about reading before bed. It's really like work nights, like nights before I'm gonna get up and work the next day, that I want to prioritize reading before bed. So I feel good about this. I am carrying this over into future months. In fact, I'm making it my priority for the last 100 days challenge, which if you have not joined us, there's still time to join us for the last 100 days. Come and join us. All the information is over on Instagram, or send me a DM if you can't find it, but I am prioritizing PM reading for that challenge. The next daily action item was water, and I put this one on because I knew I was dehydrated. At the end of August, like, I felt dehydrated, so I put this one down, and there were only 2 days that I didn't hit that goal. So did I really need it? I don't know. Like, I don't know if having it written down really made a difference or not, but I feel a lot better about where I'm at with this goal. And then my last daily action item was sleep, is what I originally wrote. And when I filmed last month's goals video, I talked about how I didn't know what I was gonna put, whether it was gonna be hours, a bedtime, not snoozing. There were a lot of aspects of sleep I felt like I needed to work on this month. I ultimately decided that this month I was gonna prioritize not hitting the snooze button. And I feel really good about the progress that I made. Was it every day? No, it never is. It's never every day. But I feel really good about the progress that I made. Doesn't mean that I feel that I'm there yet with sleep, and you'll see that when we get to October. All right, that was September. Let's turn the page to October. Again, if you have not watched my quarterly goals video, I would highly recommend starting there because it's gonna make a lot more sense when I talk about these monthly action steps, especially when you see that there's only 4 colors. So let's start with the encouraging words. I know I've explained this before, but a quick recap. Basically what I do here is, what is the pep talk that October Laken is going to need? And I usually come up with an idea or a theme or a concept, and then I go look for a quote related to that concept. So what I wanted to pick in October was prioritizing, and really reminding myself that by only having 4 quarterly focuses and 4 colors on this page, I am prioritizing. And so the quote that I ended up picking was, "You always have time for the things you put first." Most of the things I saw, by the way, said anonymous. There were a couple people that were given credit for this quote, but nothing consistent, so I just didn't put anything. But I just feel like this is a great reminder that time, while it is our most limited resource, you have time for the things that you put first. And then my priority for October, I wrote dance. It is show month. Our show is October 22nd, which means October is pretty much going to be mostly filled with either practice, rehearsal, tech, show, dress, all of the steps. And it's my last show here in New York City. And so I want to really remind myself that that is my priority this month, and anything that helps support that as a priority. So let's start with the monthly action items. I only have 3. The first 2 are both related to the birthday goal. That is to mail the October birthdays and prep the November birthdays. I am sure you are sick of hearing me talk about those action items. And then the only other monthly action item I have for October is to create that yearly prep list, not to start executing on it, not even really to break down, but like really just make the list of the things I want to do as part of that quarterly goal. I started listing some of them in the quarterly goals video, but really I just want to get that list out of my head and down on paper. This is also one of those monthly action items that I'll probably do, like I'll schedule time to do it. Probably 30 minutes. I'll schedule 30 minutes to just brain dump anything that comes out of my head. And I'll probably aim to do that closer to the beginning of the month. And then I will probably think of things as the month goes on, right? There are some lists that you think of things as you do other things. So I will start the list and probably check it off and shade it in, and then continue to think of things as the month goes on, and probably even in future months. Moving on to the weekly action items, I filled up every line in the weekly action items, which is not the norm for me. Normally I'm not really here for the weekly action items, but I have them all filled in. So the first one here is to work on the scrapbook. And I made this a weekly item because I really want to instill that habit of working on it for a short amount of time, but not daily. Daily was not really gonna be an option, especially in October, while I still have dance 3 days a week plus extra stuff. So I decided weekly was a good fit. And even if, like, all I have to do is 5 minutes, even if I only spend 5 minutes working on this project, I get the check mark. So my goal is to at least start to instill that habit. And then when we get to November, I might make it a daily, or I might just make it a weekly, but like up the time that I'm aiming to do it each week. All the other weekly action items for October are carried over from September. I have my steps goal, and I haven't actually picked a number yet as of the time I'm filming. So we'll see. I don't want to necessarily fall back all the way to 50 that I was in August, but I also know I have a lot going on, and I kind of want to give myself that win. So I might just do 50 again. We'll see. And then same thing, workout. I have it written 4 times. If I only do it once, awesome, I get 1 check mark. If I do it all 4, awesome, I get 4 check marks. But by having all 4 of them, it really motivates me to keep going. Moving on to daily action items. All of the daily action items are related to that physical health and really supporting the priority of dance. me feeling good is the most important thing in the month of October. So the first one is to track my stats. If you are a member of Patreon, you have seen me post this before, but this is how I've been tracking my Apple Watch stats. I have not been using any sort of specific health planner lately, but one of the things I miss tracking was my Apple Watch stats because it really motivates me to see all of that written out. And so I started doing this in August. I missed the first week of August. I started it the second week after we got back from our honeymoon. I tracked every single day in August, and I have 4 goals per day, right? The 3 Apple Watch goals and then a step goal, which by the way, my daily step goal is lower than my weekly step goal divided by 7. Anyways, I have 4 goals. In the month of August, I checked off 65% of them. That's it. Like, it's not even close to 100, but I checked off 65%. Now I know that that 35% that I didn't check off, it's not that I got 0. Okay, maybe some of them were 0, but most of them were not 0. I didn't save the August one, so I don't know exactly how many weren't 0. But you can see on the September one, there's not zeros there. So even if I don't get the check mark, it's something, it's not nothing. So my goal in September is just to beat that slightly, just to have something higher than 65%, which is what I hit in August. Now, after most of August and this far in September, I feel pretty good about this being a habit and a rhythm, and I don't necessarily fill it out every day. Some days I have to go back and fill out multiple days, but the date is always there in my watch, in my app. So I don't know that I needed to put it as a Power Sheets goal, but I think what I wanted, I think by putting it down, in my head, I'm prioritizing it, right? It's a mindset thing, not necessarily like I won't fill it out if I don't have it written there. So I don't know, as I'm saying all these things out loud, which by the way, one of my favorite parts of these videos is that I usually always think of something, right? Something I get a benefit from filming these. Maybe I don't need this, right? Maybe tracking them, I'm literally gonna check it off every day. I'm gonna have a full one of these at the end of October and it's gonna be pointless. And then I won't carry it over to November. The next daily action item is to read before bed. Carrying that one over, again, you're gonna see that for the rest of the year because it's my 100-day challenge goal. And then the last 2 daily action items are both related to sleep. So like I said, I had lots of ideas of what I could have put down for sleep in September, but I decided to prioritize no snoozing. So in October, I carried that one over and I actually wrote no snooze for October. And then I also set up another one, which is to get 7+ hours of sleep, because there were definitely some of those check marks in September that I didn't hit the snooze button because I knew that's how I was gonna get the check mark in my Power Sheets, but I didn't get 7 hours of sleep. And I was like, get up, you gotta go get up and do the things. And I want sleep to be important because that is gonna help me feel the best physically, help me be ready for the show, and all of that jazz. So that is it for October. Those are my action steps for October. I want you to let me know down in the comments, what is one of your October action steps that you are really excited about? And if you watch this whole video and you're like, I really need that tool, I really want to achieve my goals, they launch next week, the new 2023 version. I, as of the filming of this video, do not have the 2023 version in my hands yet. I am gonna get that review video up as soon as I get those in my hands, as soon as it comes in the mail. So it might be up by the time this video goes up, it might not be. If it is, I will make sure to leave it linked for you. But either way, the new Power Sheets launch next Wednesday, October 12th. And I'm so excited for the new year, for new Power Sheets and all those things. If you have any questions about the product, the Cultivate What Matters Power Sheets Goal Planner, comment below, ask me questions, send me a DM on Instagram. They really have changed my life in terms of personal goals, and I think that it could be beneficial for you. Now, you may look at it and be like, that's not the tool for me. I actually did a whole video on picking the best goal planner for you. If you are still struggling to figure out a goal planner that would work for you, go watch that video and see if you can figure out what you need in a goal planner, and let's figure out which one would be the best fit for you. All right, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. Why am I being so awkward this month? Cultivate What Matters. Blah, 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 blah. Cultivate what, wow, why? I don't know what's happening. To 60,000 in what month are we in? The next 2 daily action items.